What's up everybody, Robert184, 2Rs, 2Bs, Gundam.tk, and as has become a New Year's tradition around here at Gundam.tk, it's time to take a look back at the year that was, in this case the 2010 year, which for Gunpla saw all sorts of surprising things, new lines and stuff like that, and taking a look back may give us some ideas of what's ahead for 2011. Starting with the Master Grades, which is my favorite line, the year started off with a bang with the Gen X, so if you like mass production suits, that could be up your creek. But after that, it was the perennial favorite, Astray, which has to come across as being one of the best spin-offs of all time in all of Gundam. And the Red Frame got its, fifth incarnation in mobile suit, or in plastic model form. Followed up by Unicorn, which has been shooting to the top of both the anime popularity and the MS popularities in Gundam Ace. And it got its HD recolor with the cage and the regular non-version Katoki, which fixed, about 15 degrees of bend in the knees. Nonetheless, that was good to get that improvement. Big news, though, after that, because the Master Grade Wing, which came out, caused all sorts of excitement for people that here like old kits, and now that it's a 15-year-old series, a lot of people would be looking for a Master Grade and an improvement, not to mention fans in North America and abroad that grew up on Wing wanted that original anime-accurate kit. After that was a little bit of a surprise, the Gundam Mark II, which of course is more of a remold with some interesting bling added in and has been a mainstay in recent game releases. And after that, the Mobile Suit Variation line got a bit of a surprise using the Gundam version 2.0 frame, which can be used for about 15 different kinds of Gundams. Well, this time it got some tape and some silly putty kind of things and just slapped some green armor all over it for the full armor Gundam. And after that, I was incorrect where the Victory Gundam got its dash pack, so all of a sudden you got that both as a separate thing, which was great for early buyers like me, and a combination one, which I'm sure will replace the original version Katoki in stores. Followed up by an absolutely massive kit, the Master Grade The O, and the final bad guy in Zeta Gundam, which is of course the most popular series here outside of First. Has been long requested by people. I'm sure it was just its size that put Bandai off from putting it. Although based on the number of markdowns that I've seen it at, it's usually 40 to 50% off here. I don't know how well it's selling. Nonetheless, it got its release, and then it was followed up by a bit of a surprise. Although not that big a surprise if you follow Gundam Ace, because the Master Grade Death Scythe came out, and it was done in its earlier inspired by a pamphlet that came out at the movies for the Endless Waltz. Well, in the movie release anyway, not the OVA. And because of that, the Death Scythe got its cool new release, which is now getting drawn. Followed by more popularity in terms of the Unicorn Gundam coming out to coincide just in time with the new DVD release, was the Master Grade Rizel. And of course that has its ability to come out with a remold, a very slight remold in the form of the Commander type, which came out in 2011. Followed up by the last Master Grade of the year, the one you see here, Eileen as I like to call it. It's the Master Grade 00 Quanta, star of the movie, which didn't get a 1/100th non-grade form. It went straight to Master Grade, something that wasn't known when the movie came out. Nonetheless, it was a great way to end the year for the Master Grade series. Looking at it as a whole, though, I have to say that the Master Grade lineup for 2011 was a little bit disappointing. First of all, the Gen X was not that great. The Red Frame was. The Unicorn is just a redo. Master Grade Wing needed it. Mark II, well, unless you play the games, not great. Mobile Suit Variations, again, it's just another variation. Same thing with the V1 Gundam. The Death Scythe does have the inner frame, which can be used across the line, and the O is completely original top to bottom, as is the Rizel and the 00 Quanta, although that's going to be used in the 00 Gundam when it eventually comes out. But I have to say that the Master Grade releases weren't all that exciting. And for me, that comes across in 2 to 3 different areas, actually, because people said, well, hey, there's no Master Grade release in December. But instead what we got was the 1/48th Ashar Zaku 2. And in terms of Bandai and retailers, when you put out a box like that, it's the equivalent of a Master Grade in terms of price point and size. And in addition to that, if you're talking about price point, you've also got the real grades cutting in at the bottom end of the Master Grade with the Zaku 2 and the regular Gundam. So all of a sudden, that's 4 less Master Grades that come out. And when you combine that with Bandai's attempts at diversifying with the Figure-Eyes series and all sorts of kits coming out there, you can see that Master Grades may be on the decline. So last year when I did this video, I said high grade Universal Century was on its way out, and now it feels like Master Grade Sadly, it's what? The law of declining results for Bandai, where the big master grades have been put out. So any master grades after this that Bandai puts out, something like a Gen X or something like that, how much is it really going to sell compared to something like putting out a Gundam version 3.0 or old kits like that? So anyway, master grade between Figure-Eyes, 148s, and real grade could be feeling the pinch coming up next year as well. Probably one of the only things that I said right last year in my predictions was that the end of the high-grade Universal Century line would be coming, because they were running out of good ideas when you get into the Isaac. Once they finished off Char's counterattack and put out a whole slew of kits from Unicorn, really they're just sort of scraping the bottom. But what do we get? Well, we got a Rizel, and then the big news of getting the high-grade After War X and the Future Century God Gundam, which you can see there, which just breathed new life into the high-grade Universal Century numbering system. Follow that up with old classics like Double Zeta, then you're going to get some more Gira Zulus, the Jim Custom, the Balls, the Delta Plus, the Shinanju, and the Goof Custom, which is a big winner for me, and the X Divider. But basically, all sorts of good kits came out, and especially Unicorn kits seem to be selling, or I don't think they'd be getting this kind of release, with old fans buying relatively high-end 2,000 yen kits. Not to mention the fact more stuff from First Gundam, Double Zeta gets its final due. The Goof Custom is going to be popular. And with the AW and the FC kits, as you see with this, we could get a gold version in the future. Nobel Gundam could get a Berserker mode. The X has already got its X Divider. So basically, they're keeping in mind the ability to reuse the molds, but in the end, the high grade and the low end kits had a pretty good year for 2010, I would say. The other main part of Bandai's low-end lines is the high-grade 00, which, of course, as the anime came to an end, even though it had the movie on the horizon, really started to show its age here. So the year started off with the variations. You're going to get the 7 Sword, which is great, but just extra plates, the Austria F, and the regular white one. Then you're going to get Avalanche Exia, the 1.5 Gundam. So pretty much just stuff from the spin-offs, and all variations on stuff we've already seen before. However, that all picked up in the summer with the rapid release of the Quanta, Zabanya, Harut, Raphael, then the condenser tank version for better or for worse, and the Braves, both commander and regular type, as you see here. So after the movie came out, this was a good way to end up, but even though they had announced some other ones may be coming out, like a Gen X3 in yellow and Setsuna's Brave, nothing to show coming out in recent announcements, and we already know up to March. So the 00 line may be coming to an end as Bandai gears up for the next inevitable series. 2010 ended on a high note, though, for fans of Perfect Grade who had been long suffering after the release of the Strike Gundam, until Red Frame came and then the 00 Riser came out last year. But to get the Strike Freedom, which from a business perspective, unless you're a hater of Seed Destiny, is going to make Bandai a lot of money, I'm assuming, especially at this price point. Anyway, I haven't built this yet, but December with the 00 Quantum, the Strike Freedom, this may be becoming a tradition for Bandai to put out a Perfect Grade at the end of the year, and even if that's at the expense of a good Master Grade, I don't know how many people would be complaining. But let's see what happens next year. However, in the end, 2010 for me is going to be remembered for the possible long-enduring lines, Real Grade and 148th. However, it's always important to note that, like with Speed Grade, First Grades, and all sorts of stuff like that, Super High-Com Pros, Bandai often tries new lines, and they always start with a Gundam and a Zaku 2, usually. And then, like with Super High-Com Pro, they did Exia, trying to bring some newer stuff in there, but if it doesn't sell, the lines aren't going to continue. So where the Real Grade line goes from here, I think these two were probably a success, although the price point may have been a little high. The 148th, of course, leads to the inevitable Zaku repaints, but are they going to continue after that? Will they go into Zeta, or will they go with newer stuff? Unicorn, despite being the hot ticket at the moment, don't know how well it would translate into either of those lines. But anyway, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that. So at the end, of course, the most important thing is, what do you think about this? Because believe me, I am not piped into what Bandai thinks or knows, as you can see if you go back and take a look at my 2010 Master Grade predictions. But what did you think of 2010? What were your favorite lines? What were your favorite builds? Stay tuned for my next video, where I'll run through my favorite builds of 2010. Would love to hear yours. But anything that you've heard about this opinion and pseudo-analysis, why don't you know what you think about it down below, and always throw in your own 2 cents. It's always great to hear. Anyway, everybody, as always, Robert184, gundam.tk. Good to see. I hope 2011 is good for you. And I had a really good 2010 for the site, and thanks to everybody who comes to watch, because without you guys, well, what's the whole point? Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. See you again.